For visitors to Argentina's Glacier National Park, it's a breathtaking sight. And when they hear the sound of cracking in the ice, a spectacular scene sometimes ensues. Calving in a glacier is when chunks of ice detach from the edge and come crashing down. It's hard to tell from this distance, but the piece captured in this video was the height of a 20-story building. An Argentine glaciologist says his country's most famous glacier, the Perito Moreno Glacier, has managed to hold on to much of its mass over the recent decades, while some other glaciers around the world have lost significant amounts of theirs. But the scientist and a tour guide say they've been seeing larger calving events here in recent years, and they're concerned that Perito Moreno is shedding some weight. One researcher says it could still bounce back. Its face has advanced and retreated over the decades. But as glaciologists watch the ice for signs of weakening, tourists are watching it in awe, with one visitor saying you can't grasp its immensity in pictures. Welcome back to the World from A to Z, your nonpartisan source for international news and events. I'm Carl Azus, thankful to see you this Monday. There are a lot of questions and not as many answers as to why a tall ship belonging to the Mexican Navy crashed into New York's Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday. Multiple cameras were recording as the masts of the ship struck the bridge and snapped one by one. The vessel's name is the Cuauhtemoc. It's a training boat that was launched in 1982. It's used by cadets in the Mexican Navy and was carrying 277 people at the time of the accident Saturday evening. At least 2 were killed, and several others were in serious condition Sunday. There was no structural damage to the Brooklyn Bridge. The Cuauhtemoc was on a goodwill tour. It had left the Mexican city of Acapulco in April, and it was scheduled to visit 15 countries on its journey, with Iceland being its next destination after New York. But initial reports said an apparent mechanical failure caused the ship to lose power and drift in the opposite direction it was supposed to be going in. That left it at the mercy of the wind and the currents of New York's East River, which carried it into the bridge. Officials in the U.S. and Mexico are calling the accident a tragedy and sending condolences to the families of the sailors who lost their lives. Meantime, investigators are trying to figure out exactly how and why this happened.
Word of knowledge. Which of these historic treaties was signed in 1848? Treaty of Paris, First Geneva Convention, Peace of Prague, Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Name for the city to where the Mexican government had fled after its losses to the American forces. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended in the Mexican-American War.
On this date in world history. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of English King Henry VIII, was executed on this date in 1536. Historians say she probably wasn't guilty of the charges of conspiracy and cheating on the king, but Anne was convicted partly because of her unpopularity, because of political and religious upheaval at the time, and because the king wanted a male heir to the throne. 2 ratifications of 2 different treaties occurred on May 19th. The first, in 1848, was when Mexico ratified the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. In exchange for $15 million and the debt it owed American citizens, Mexico gave up more than half its territory, which included what would become several western, central, and southern U.S. states. The second ratification, in 1967, was made by the Soviet Union. It had agreed to a treaty with the U.S., Britain, and several other countries that promised none of them would put nuclear weapons in space. They also agreed to use celestial sites like the moon for peaceful purposes only.
Harvard University has revealed that a copy of the famous Magna Carta document purchased decades ago has turned out to be the real deal, and at $27, it was quite a steal. The historic charter signed by England's King Edward I in the year 1300 is often regarded as the earliest official declaration of human rights, enshrining the principle that the king and his government was not above the law. In 1946, this example of the document was bought at auction by Harvard for $27.50. But recently, while combing the university's archives, historians were able to verify that what was thought to be simply a copy was actually one of the 7 still surviving originals from the king's 12th century issue.
I worked through the Harvard text, Word for word, its text is virtually identical to that found in these 6 other originals, and that persuaded me more than anything else that this was absolutely genuine and authentic.
Harvard officials called it a fantastic discovery, and those involved say the rare find may soon be put on public display as one of the crown jewels of the school's collection.
Cornhusker State is in the spotlight today. In the city of Schuyler, we're happy to have Mr. Baptiste's class with us. Schuyler Middle School is in the state of Nebraska. We heard that several teachers are using our show at Marymount Junior High School. Thank you for making us part of your day in Cincinnati in the Buckeye State of Ohio. And I'm really good at mispronouncing names, so Miss Carosquillo, I'm sorry if I missed yours, but hello to the Patriots of Colonia High School in Colonia, New Jersey, the Garden State. What day is it?
May 19th is Plant Something Day. Whether it's a houseplant, a tree, a flower, or a veggie, the point is to add a bit more color and growth to the environment. The event was started by a horticultural group in 2012.
So what we're going to do now is put our string around.
Sarah Welsh is an archaeologist.
What they would do is just take a simple twig.
So is Dana Chandler. Both study peoples and cultures by excavating and examining objects from the past people created. They're sporting additional job titles as teachers, and they're teaming up with high school history educators in Alabama. Their goal? To transform this old cornfield into a high school classroom. How are you doing?
I'm edging it so it makes a perfect square in our pit right here.
We try to keep the pit as square as we can, and we shave it off layer by layer because for every inch of soil, that's about a decade.
We're sifting through the dirt to see if we can find anything that's in the big blocks of it.
Our students are not only studying history, they're uncovering history, they are making history.
After a morning of digging, sifting, and measuring,
We found potsherds, which several pieces that looked like a part of a full pot, and they all indicate a certain period of Native American that lived here. This is what we call a woodland site, and this is a site that we attribute to the Deptford culture, which is a pretty big deal for us.
it's big because history books record this culture existing in southern Alabama. The site is in the northern region of the state.
Rewrite history, exactly. They sure are.
I think it's just really cool. I think it's really cool to see and know that like the artifacts and stuff that were found were the first to touch them in almost 2,000 years.
It's a rare experience for students, and who knows, there just might be a budding archaeologist in this group. It wouldn't be the first time. Just ask Sarah Welsh.
If it wasn't for this class, I don't know if I would have known that archaeology was possible as a career. So it definitely influenced me and showed me that I could do this.
Welsh has been in the field working as a career archaeologist since graduating high school 8 years ago.
One of the sports events include the Titans Toss, Atlas Stones, and Hercules Hold. It's no surprise they're part of the world's strongest man. The competition was held over the weekend in California, the state where it first kicked off in 1977. And though the competitors are massive and capable of lifting objects more than twice their weight, one of their wives described them as gentle giants who care for and cheer each other on. There's a lot of pain and gain to get here. It's a heavy lift on a long-haul effort that comes with a pressing need to push yourself and doing a lot of grunt work, and it has a high overhead without a meal deal. But for them, it's worth the weights when they throw down the unbarred Leva Bell records that keep them pumped to flex all day. I'm Carl Azus, and I'm going to go work out. Thank you for watching The World from A to Z.